Hello, Minecrafters and Redstoners. I'm Natanis Likens, and welcome back to another episode in our mini-series, Mad Scientist. Now, in our last episode, we talked a little bit about item filters and how exactly you should set them up using some sort of block that you've renamed. Or item or whatever. It needs to be something that is renamed. It cannot be the base name of the item, such as polished diorite, where here we have renamed it to blocker. It tells us exactly what its purpose is, and that's how it stays. And again, I want to reiterate, you need to make those as you need them. Do not be running around with a full stack of something with whatever name you're using to block that off. Do them as needed, because there is a good chance that you may die working in it in the process, and all those blocks will end up in your system and completely destroy it. Now, with this, I do want to talk a little bit more about the issues I have with this type of setup, and I also want to talk a little bit about the issues I have with having your storage set up in this manner. And for that purpose, I have come over here and I've built a few things. Just really quickly, there's no real big major things going on. I've just built a couple of different versions of storage, and we're going to talk about them a little bit. So first off, this red section. This red section is designed to fail. Let me say that again. This is designed to fail. And it's probably going to fail in one of two particular methods. First and foremost, this does not have any sort of overflow, meaning that if this system gets filled up on any one of these items, it's going to wreak havoc on the system as a whole. So yeah, that's the first major problem. The second major problem is, once again, we have put in the gold nuggets that big name YouTuber did as a demonstration for why this is a bad idea. Now, how we have this set up right now, you may see that we have an assortment of blocks here. So we've got iron ingots here, copper ingots are coming in here, we've got gold ingots coming in here, raw iron here, raw gold here, raw copper here. We have coal, not coal blocks, coming in here, and then we have birchwood coming in this section, specifically birchwood planks. That is probably the only one that is exactly what it is. I tend not to use item frames for stuff like this because item frames do cause issues. They are a source of lag, just like redstone is. Now, you may notice that there's also furnaces up there. That is to block off the hoppers. That is a way to reduce lag, though I'm not entirely sure if it's furnaces. Don't hold me to that. Ask a bigger redstoner if that is the correct item. It may be something else, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be furnaces. And that's what I have been using. In fact, in my redstone box in my survival world, we have a stash of furnaces just for that purpose. Now, this green section here. This green section is not designed to fail, though it could. For exactly the same reason as that one that I stated a minute ago. Overflow. There is no overflow protection on this. So, yeah, kind of an oversight on my part, but I was trying to hurry up and put all this together in order to kind of demonstrate the flaws. Mostly with the redstone and setting up your redstone in this manner. I actually don't like having my filters side by side. You'll see why when I actually start up this thing. And over here, in these chests here, I have an assortment of blocks. Forgot to delete that, and I also have the sounds turned off on two fronts. We're not going to worry about that. So, in here, we've got a whole bunch of different items. We've got copper ingots, gold ingots, iron ingots, raw copper, birchwood planks, coal, and a whole bunch of nuggets. This is supposed to represent like a messy inventory, and that's a dump chest where you just put everything in. It should go into the system and filter everything to its proper places. However, like I did previously state, because there are gold nuggets in here, and we've dumped gold nuggets in here. Kind of an overkill. It's more something that would either be a complete accident that you'd put a whole bunch in there, or an oversight where you're putting in just a little bit at a time every so often by accident, like maybe 2 here, 2 there, 2 here, 5 here, or oops, I accidentally put in a stack of 64 without realizing it. The whole point of that is to demonstrate why you should name your items that you're using to block off the hopper inputs. Anyway, we got that going on there, and then here I put a whole bunch of iron in here to hopefully break the filter by overflowing it. Now, the other thing that I've done is I've put a whole bunch of iron in here, so hopefully this should overflow. Now, I'm not sure which is going to happen first. Are the iron ingots going to break it first, or are... Yes, mouse over the golden nuggets. Okay, so what's going to break it first? Gold nuggets or the iron ingots? Because we've got the gold nuggets here in the first position, I'm thinking it's probably going to be the gold nuggets. However, we only have 18 of them there, so they're probably going to filter down into this slot right here. And then all these iron ingots, which is why this is the first one, are going to start populating that first slot there, which is going to go into there and into this and filter down here. Now, you may have noticed this little circuit right here. This is just a visual indicator. It not of any importance to what we are doing. I am going to time-lapse these items going in there, and that's going to be a visual indicator. Let me know, hey, there's no more items in these 2 chests. So, hopefully, I don't know if that's actually going to work. It was just a quick little attempt at something. I'm not really sure if it's going to work or not. I haven't tested it or anything. So that hopefully is going to help me when filming this, in order to be like, oh, it's done, I can end recording and go and talk about what is going on here that broke it. And without further ado, let's just get right into it and start up this little time lapse of breaking this particular filter setup. Okay, and there you have it. A little time lapse of not showing exactly what it was I was trying to make a point of. Yeah, we didn't put enough items in there. So I had to add a whole bunch of items in order to break it in the way that I was trying to demonstrate. So yeah, we put a whole bunch more items in there, and now if we come back here, you'll see that the redstone is completely on, and our comparators are now all off. This is a state they should not be in. So, what has happened? What broke? Okay, first off, because we had all those golden nuggets in there, it took up precious slots in our actual filter. If I click on it, you can see here that the filter got filled up. Now, as far as this item here, obviously it broke our filter a little bit earlier, and when I came to test it after recording the, or came to look at it after, doing our little time lapse, I realized that I didn't put enough items in there to break it in the way that I wanted to demonstrate. But essentially what happened is all of our iron did filter out down to here. However, once it started hitting other things, including the nuggets and everything, as you already saw because I clicked on it way too soon, the items started filtering down into here. So instead of going into the respective slots, they filter down through our broken filter. And in fact, if I click on that one, you can see that we got a whole bunch of raw iron. Well, if you recall, raw iron should be going through here. So what happened with our filters? Now, because this one is completely full due to it being overflowed, it activated all of these signals down here. So what ends up happening is all of these hoppers become unlocked, and as you can see, all of the items that were filtering a particular given thing have been sucked down into our storage. And if I go over here, you can actually see that, yeah, here's where I've had to shove a whole bunch more gold nuggets in and a whole bunch more raw copper, raw gold, copper ingots, and so on and so forth, specifically to break it in the way that I was trying to demonstrate. But if we go over here, you can see that we got our 1 gold ingot and our 4 gold nuggets. That was the filter there. Same here, we got our raw iron and our 4 nuggets. Raw gold, 4 nuggets. Raw copper, 4 nuggets. Coal, 4 nuggets. And then 1 birch and 4 nuggets, with everything getting stuck over in this section. So yeah, that will break the filter as a whole if you overflow it. Not to mention the same goes with the nuggets. If you overflow the nuggets because you didn't change the name of them, it's also going to break. Now, that's why in order to combat this, I highly recommend taking one item of your choice and renaming it to something else. You don't have to do what I did here with polished diorite and rename it to blocker, though I do recommend whatever you're using, you rename it to blocker. And this is part of why I don't like this design, why I don't like having it stacked up. Because if you do overflow something for any reason, or if you cause issue with the filter itself, it is going to break all of them in that daisy chain. So I highly recommend staying away from doing this. Now, again, this one over here is not designed to fail, so I don't really feel like actually demonstrating it this time. We do have this with a whole bunch of different items, but this one should work exactly as intended. And, these polished diorite blocks should actually end up over here as all of these are named. Again, we could demonstrate that, but I honestly don't feel like it because you know how filters work. You've used filters before, and it will work in this case. But again, I don't really like doing this. One of the things I highly recommend is break up your filters. Don't have them back to back to back like this. In both of these cases, we have 8 sets of filters all connected with redstone. And this right here is an example of why I don't like that, because this one redstone signal has caused havoc down the entire chain. Now, this will only go as far as the redstone signal will reach. However, you are going to have several areas where it is messed up, and it is going to cause any of your items that you are trying to sort out, and I do mean any of them. You could have 64 of these in a row filtering out 64 different items, and everything would end up in the first one. Once that gets filled up, it's going to filter into the second one. Once that gets filled up, it's going to go into the third one, and so on and so forth. So I highly recommend not doing this. Don't do it. Instead, I really recommend that you take the time and space everything out so that the redstone is actually not touching other filters. Like, have them isolated. That is the first thing that you can do. And the second thing I highly recommend is with this chain of hoppers here, this is where the items will go down the chain, they'll hit the filter, they'll drop through, and then continue on if they don't match whatever filter you have set up. In this case, I don't have any set up, but there is an easier way to do this instead of having a whole bunch of hoppers that can lag out your world or cause lag on a server. And that is by using water and ice for items to kind of go through and have like your filters every so often. Again, same thing over here. I don't actually have these filters set up. I just have kind of a demonstration of where it should go roughly and what it should look like. You could make this a little bit bigger, and in fact we're going to talk about sizes here in a second too with your storage areas. So yeah, you could do a system like this. In fact, I do have a couple of them like that set up on my Let's Play world. One is for my raid farm that I have that I haven't really used all that often because I keep dying in it. The other one is for the mob drops, and then I have a third. Actually, no, I have two others set up. I have another set of filters for the Guardian farm, so that I can sort out the shards. So I can sort out the prismarine shards from the lantern. Prismarine crystals. So I have two filters, actually 4 filters, two for each of these, set up on the Guardian farm, and then we have another filter set up at the Gold farm and at the Pigwin farm, so that we got all these different items set up. And again, I do have them separated so the redstone is not touching. And in most cases, it is in sections of 3. I think with the Guardian farm, it's a little bit bigger, though I can't remember exactly. But yeah, that is very important. The other important thing when you're setting up your storage is, and I see this a lot with a lot of YouTubers, well, they'll make just absolutely monstrosities of storage. Now, there's 2 problems with this. First off, why do you have that many items to begin with? Like, seriously, why? If you aren't going to use them, why do you have so many? There are some things that I have a whole bunch of, and that's either because they're farms like the sheep farm that you can't really turn off, they just constantly go, and things that don't really require building or like trading with villagers. But that's beside the point. As far as like actual building blocks and things, you really don't need that much at any given time. For your builds, yes, I do agree with having a lot of materials for when you do builds. However, I do highly recommend like gathering those as you need them. So if you've got a build that requires 6 shulker boxes of a given material, go out and collect that beforehand, then come back and start doing your build for each one of those. So every time you need that, go and do it. Now, as far as the actual size, I've got some wool blocks here. The green represents exactly where I can reach, and the red is where I can't reach. So the highest I can reach up is that green slot right there. So these other two are kind of a waste because I cannot reach those. So why have a system that big? There are a couple of different things you could do about this. The first thing you could do is set up your chest in such a way that you got like a zigzag going on so that all the items will filter down to the final chest at the bottom. That is one solution. However, again, depending on how you do your sorting system and how much iron you have, this can get very costly very quick as you're making just a ludicrous amount of hoppers. And again, hoppers cause lag. Redstone in general causes lag. It's not any given one thing that's going to cause lag in your redstone. For your buildings, for any kind of farms, for your storage system, it's going to be cumulative. So all of that stuff starts adding up and causing you lag. So there is a better way to actually combat this. And this is something that I have noticed a lot of big names in YouTube, Minecraft, doing, that I'm just like, there's no excuse. There's no excuse. And that's inventory management. In the combat inventory management, we have this lovely shulker box. So instead of having a huge system like these, you can fill up some shulker boxes. And then take them without any redstone at all and put them into a single chest. 2 of these is the equivalent of a double chest. Just 2 of these. Yeah. That's going to save you a lot of storage space using shulker boxes. A lot of storage space. So why have enormous sorting systems with all these different items when you could just have like a couple of chests with shulker boxes in it? And in fact, in my in my survival world, my sorting system or my storage area is literally a whole bunch of barrels with a couple of shulker boxes in each for materials. And again, because I do go and collect things as I need them for, certain things, it's much easier that way. It's a whole heck of a lot less of a headache. Although, it does create another headache, and that's going and collecting the resources. Yeah, trust me, Minecraft YouTubers, I get the headache with collecting resources. I mean, the next actual Let's Play video that's coming out, I've spent several hours trying to collect resources, and also nearly had a heart attack, but you'll see why in that video when we get there. But yeah, as far as the redstone, I hope this kind of helps you out in figuring out why your redstone doesn't work for your storage system, and why this is actually a bad idea. And also, like, just using a normal item as your filter just is a bad idea in general. You want something that's not going to be filled in with, though it does need to be a stackable item. I do believe there are some that are capable of using non-stackables, though I'm not familiar with those and I haven't looked into them. And in fact, there is a sorting system I've seen done with allays. However, allays are such a pain in the butt to work with, I don't recommend it. They are notorious when it comes to working with them. Like, they're bad. Like, how could you guys, like, why? We should have had the copper golem. And that's all I got time for. So I really hope that this helps you guys out, and I will see you in the next video. Again, leave a comment because we're still looking for an outro.